Okay, my dear friends, here we are, verse 33. Such a beautiful verse, so beautifully written. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadhim, Anantarupam. Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha. Vedeshu Durlabam Adurlabam Atmabhakto. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So sweet. Advaitam. Dve means two. Means not. Doesn't have a second. Achyutam. It does not decay, does not deteriorate. Anadhim, without a beginning. Anantarupam has an eternal form. Adyam means the beginning. So this person is the beginning and is the Purana Purusham, the oldest original person. But if you're the oldest original person, you must have a gray beard, you must be all wrinkly. No, you are Nava Yovanam, very beautiful, blooming, and youthful. So this is an amazing description of Krishna. Beautiful, blooming youth, the original person. No second. There's no other competitive God. The source of all things has no beginning, but is the beginning of everything. And their form is eternal. My form, not eternal, but Krishna's form is eternal. Then there's this line, which is just so amazing. Vedeshu Durlabam. Through the Vedas, rituals, philosophy, speculation, Durlabam, difficult to attain. Very, very difficult to attain. Adurlabam. But it's not difficult. Krishna is not difficult to attain if Atmabhakto, you have the heart of a devotee. A devotee's heart, Krishna is easy to attain. Through the Vedas, through rituals and speculation, very difficult to attain. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. The original person, Govinda, I offer my bhajami, my affection, my love, my worship. Such a beautiful verse. And so let's read Bhaktisiddhanta's translation. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas. That means that through the Vedas he's inaccessible, but obtainable by pure unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, who is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha, the original person. Yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth. Wow, super nice. Okay, friends, we're going to read from the study guide, the purport. Some amazing stuff here. Advaita refers to the indivisible, ultimate truth, and absolute knowledge. Remember, Advaita means not divided, not two. He emits the boundless Brahman. And Brahman, if you remember, is the all-pervading impersonal aspect of divinity. When we say God is within all things and everywhere, we're referring to Brahman. He emits the boundless Brahman as his luminous radiance, his aura, his brilliance is Brahman. And the omnipresent God known as Paramatma as a part of his being. So let alone as his effulgence, divinity which pervades all things. He also pervades into your heart as Paramatma. So he exists in your heart and he exists in all things as the guide, the seer, the helper of your progress out of this material world. He's the umbilical cord back to the spiritual world. Known as Paramatma, as a part of his being, all the while maintains his undivided singular form. So he has a form, Krishna, it's undivided. He irradiates Brahman and he's situated in everyone's heart. So you may think he's bifurcated. He's Brahman, he's Paramatma, he's Krishna, but he's not. He's not split. Achyuta signifies that although countless avatars emerge from him as subjective parts and millions of individual souls as separate spiritual fragments. He remains complete and perfect. So that's pretty cool. Because like if you take a photograph of something and then you copy it in a copier and you take that out and you copy it in a copier and you take that out, and soon it degrades in quality. But Krishna never degrades in quality. The soul is directly, absolutely a ray of Vishnu and has the full qualities of Krishna, though in a minute way. Not every single solitary quality in full, but is divinity in an absolute sense without any degradation. And all Krishna's avatars are not some kind of weak form of Krishna. They're Krishna in whole, in total. Very cool. Achutya, not decayed, even when engaged in the display of taking birth. He is without a beginning. So Krishna has a birth, but he's the source of his own birth. Although he disappears following his appearance, he is timeless. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that foolish people think that Krishna appears in a form, does some stuff, and then the form disappears. But Krishna's form and all of his manifestations are eternal. They're not bound by time. They don't have a beginning and an end. Although he has no origin, he has one in his pastime of appearance. So he does have an origin in his pastime of appearance. We'll say that Krishna's mother is Mother Yasoda. But again, at the same time, he has no origin. And while being eternally in essence, he is still a person in the full bloom of youth. So it means he's not like an old man that lives forever and is all great. He's beautiful and youthful, even though he's the original person. In essence, despite his various seemingly contradictory qualities, they all harmoniously converge due to his unfathomable power. This is the transcendental nature of Chit Dharma, distinct from the material. How beautiful. And in this case, Chit Dharma means quality. So the eternal qualities of Krishna. His graceful, curved, threefold form, Tribhanga, with a flute in hand, possesses an eternal blooming youth and is devoid of all imperfections found in limited time and space. In the transcendental realm, there is no past or future, only a timeless and unchanging present. In this spiritual sphere, there is no separation between an object and its quality, and there is no such unity found in the finite worldly realm. Thus, qualities that appear contradictory within the confines of time and space coexist harmoniously in the spiritual realm. Wow. How can an individual soul, jiva, perceive such a unique existence? What a great question. So, I, as a jiva, am perceiving the world through limited senses. How can I perceive Krishna is all eternal, one without a second, and eternal form, and I have to perceive things through this material form? So how can I perceive such a thing? Great question. The limited cognitive abilities of souls are always contaminated by time and space and are not in a position to shake off this limitation. If cognitive abilities cannot comprehend the transcendental, then what can? So how can my eyeballs comprehend Goloka and Krishna's eternal pastimes? They can't. To this, Brahma says that the transcendental absolute is beyond the grasp of the Vedas. So we have books of knowledge and of experiences and rituals in this material world. Those things cannot comprehend divinity or the transcendental. At best, they can comprehend Brahman, Paramatma, and the consciousness of the soul, very limited understanding of spirituality that we can understand through our own consciousness. But this eternal, youthful, spiritual form of Krishna is not comprehensible by our eyeballs, our ears, our mind, which are manifested through the Vedas. The Vedas are based on sound, and sound originates in the mundane ether. Therefore, the Vedas cannot provide a direct view of the transcendental world, Goloka. It's only when the Vedas are suffused with the chit potency that they can address the transcendental. How amazing. However, Goloka reveals itself to every individual soul when they are under the influence of the spiritual cognitive potency combined with the essence of ecstatic energy. So when one is engaged in devotion, bhakti, Goloka and Krishna's form reveals itself to that soul. The ecstatic, and in this case, ecstatic means devotional sentiment, the loving mood. The ecstatic function of devotion is boundless and is surcharged with pure transcendental knowledge. This knowledge reveals the highest principle of Goloka Tattva, or truth, Goloka truth, in harmony with devotion, not asserting itself separately, but as a subsidiary to pure devotion. Wow, these verses are so amazing. Shoo, Hare Krishna. Okay, friends, on to verse 34. Let's keep the party rolling. And so this verse really is a companion verse to 33, because it says, Pantas tukoti satavatsara sampragyamyo vayor atapi manaso munipungavanam so pyastiyat prapadyasimni avinchatyatve. That's a hard one. Govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajame. This line is complex. So pyasti yat prapadyasimni avichintyatve. Govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. And so the last verse said that through the Vedas, Krishna is very, very difficult to attain. And so here, Brahma is saying that I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayam by drilling the respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane, extending over thousands of millions of years. Essentially saying that if you engage in yoga by breathing and drilling the breath really hard, or if you engage in mental speculation by trying to find Krishna by eliminating all things, nighty, not this and not that. Like, I can say, this body is temporary, so I reject it. I can say that the air is temporary, so I reject it. And eventually, by rejecting all things, I come down to an essential element, which is consciousness or soul. And I say I've now found divinity because I've removed all temporary things, and now I have the essential spiritual thing. But unfortunately, that essential spiritual thing is consciousness, and it's not subjected to our mental speculation. So though we do understand some aspects of divinity, we don't get to understand Goloka and Krishna's beautiful form as an ever fresh youth that's eternal and playing the flute. That's revealed to us. And so this verse is saying, after many thousands and millions of years of this, one can only get just the tip of Krishna's toe by engaging in this kind of activity. Hare Krishna. So we have a short purport, and we're going to read it from the study guide. Achieving the lotus feet of Govinda is a realization that comes through pure devotion. The state of absolute unity, Kaivalya, attained by the Astanga Yogi practitioners who meditate deeply for billions of years, and the experience of merging into the infinite divine essence achieved only by non-dualists who spend equal time distinguishing spiritual from non-spiritual and discharging worldly concerns are only approaching the outskirts of Krishna's lotus feet and not the lotus feet themselves. Ooh, so very cool. Means that if you merge into divinity by becoming one through meditation and by rejecting all the things in this material world, and eventually through meditation coming to this impersonal understanding of divinity, that's only the outskirts of Krishna's true, beautiful, bhakti, loving form. That's it. In essence, the state of kaivalya means to become one or merge with, which is something that you can do, is become one with the effulgence of divinity. And Prabhupada says it's like a green bird going into a green tree. It becomes one, but at the same time, you never really lose your identity. It's just a perception. In essence, the state of kaivalya, or merging into the divine essence, Brahman, serves as a boundary between the limited physical world and the unlimited spiritual realm. Because merging with Brahman is still within this material space. It's not spiritual. You don't cross the Viraja and then merge with Brahman. It's on this side of the Viraj river. On that side, the spiritual side, starts Vaikuntha with variegatedness and spiritual mood and interaction with divinity. On this side, the form of Krishna, if you remember, he's guha, he's hidden, and at best, as you're going to find by looking, is just the effulgence of divinity on this side of the Viraj river. Crossing this boundary is the only way to experience the rich diversity of the spiritual world. These states represent the mere absence of worldly suffering, but do not offer real joy or bliss. So well said. The state of merging with Brahman is not actually getting spiritual bliss. It's only eliminating material suffering. That's not particularly spiritual, so that doesn't cross you into the spiritual realm. If the absence of suffering is seen as a bit of pleasure, it is still minute and insignificant. It's not enough just to escape from physical existence. The real victory for the soul is to exist eternally in a state of self-realization. This can only be achieved through the grace of pure devotion, which is fundamentally chit, or transcendent in nature. Intellectual speculation, no matter how abstract or deep, cannot lead to this realization. So well said, so beautiful. Hare Krishna.